Perfect. Hi, this is Lauren with Verivest, and today we are meeting with Solomon Gorlick from Red Tower Capital. Welcome. We are really excited to chat with you.
Thank you. Great to be here. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's just hop right in. I'd love to kind of hear how you ended up where you are today and give us a little bit of your origin story.
Yeah, for sure. Out of college, I ended up writing software for some years. And while doing that, a friend of mine pointed me at real estate. So I started reading a bunch of books and figured, hey, this real estate math seems kind of interesting and something maybe I can do and get involved in some way. So after my last project completed, I looked around and didn't know much about the industry and found my way to a real estate company, or really more a mortgage brokerage, by an ad. So I didn't know much about the industry. I showed up there and learned about interest rates and um, and things like that. And this was back in I think 2003. Um, and before then, the person that was training us, that broker, had done some old school hard money. So I learned a little bit about that. And it turned out that after a little bit more training and this and that, the first deal I did was brokering a hard money loan to one of our now competitors. That led to our Red Tower funding brand and ultimately the creation of our other company called Red Tower Capital and the various mortgage funds we've started over the past 10 years.
Nice. That's great. I'd love to hear kind of how you source deal flow and what your acquisition strategy is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, obviously in this industry and many others, I mean, deal flow is key because we have to say no a lot to try to get to the types of loans that we really want to have in our fund. So we have a pretty good referral partner network, a lot of mortgage brokers, returning borrowers, real estate agents, some bankers, and that we just regularly do business with, and we need to constantly market for other mortgage brokers and borrowers, digitally and in print, which we're always trying to find new ways of doing that. We're certainly not in this industry by ourselves. Obviously, without marketing and is certainly one thing, but without the salespeople, it would be tough going also. So we have people-oriented folks that are, know the game and know the industry and also look to establish credibility and consistent, interaction with borrowers to help them get things done. So, I would say before a warm handshake went a long way, but these days a friendly smile on Zoom or a camera make all the difference. So
Yeah.
without all these together, it's really hard to deliver, I think.
Right, absolutely. So really focusing on those relationships that you have throughout the industry.
Yeah, for sure. Relationships really matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you say are the key markets that you operate in, and why those markets?
Yeah, for sure. We're based here in San Francisco, so it's pretty natural geographically to be focused in the Bay Area and Northern California. We have been for some time,
Mhm.
but we also been in other parts of California, including the Sacramento area, Southern California, over these many years. And we do try to focus on urban and suburban areas of the state. Not much of a surprise here, probably. We're not really that focused on rural areas in terms of lending or harder to reach parts of the state,
Mhm.
the far north or some of the desert areas. Um, but yeah, particularly the Bay Area, Northern California, and some parts of Southern California were really familiar to us, and we've been operating in these areas for many years now.
Right.
There's obviously the other obvious things like, familiar with the laws. We have other, third-party service providers. We understand characteristics of the markets.
Right.
What happens when there's a downturn. Although things changed a little bit with COVID, usually the markets behave in a somewhat more predictable way.
Right, absolutely. And going off of that a little bit, I'm sure you've seen the market change so much over the last few years with not only the tech boom, but then also with the impact of COVID and just how crazy that's been in the Bay Area recently.
Yeah, for sure. This is unprecedented times. I don't need to tell you. I'm really glad that I have my shot now. I feel like I'm entering a new world in
Right.
this past week and a half. But yeah, things have been very different for the preceding, 13 months or so
Mhm.
during COVID, if we're sort of dating ourselves here for exactly for this for our interview here. But it's definitely been very unique. I mean, our I happen to live in our office located in San Francisco, and San Francisco's certainly received a brunt of the challenges through this whole COVID experience, like it hasn't done so much in the prior, 10 years, 20 years or so.
Yeah.
So it's certainly been different.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is your investment philosophy? How do you determine whether a deal is worth doing or not?
We have to turn down a lot of deals. That's the first thing. It's always like that. So we need to, try to say no quickly and look at a lot of opportunities, as I mentioned. I think things have changed, versus 10 years ago or so. I mean, there's a lot more competition today generically. The cost of money generically is much lower, whether private money or non-private money. So there's a lot more competition to get the deals done and get them done quickly. So we have a lot more focus on, stereotypical loan scenarios that we're at this stage so used to seeing,
Mhm.
that makes things, can we fit this loan into this box quickly, or this box, for example? We really think of ourselves as an alternate lender or a private lender these days, and have for many years, versus a quote unquote hard money lender. So that's something we're constantly trying to remind people in the marketplace about ourselves and just how we look at things. We're usually looking for uh, problems or distress with properties or the transaction itself.
Mhm.
These days, not so much necessarily the borrower,
Mhm.
having creditor income or asset issues, although certainly sometimes that is the case. So really trying to focus on property and transactional issues versus the borrower most of the time, and really try to beat the banks at getting deals closed, which is often, something that really helps us. I mean, as a final thought or two, of course, nothing beats LTV, true loan to value. What's the real exit strategy? Pretty standard private lending stuff.
Mhm.
But one thing that people don't talk too much about is trying to, we stay focused on making sure our lending price or loan dollar per square foot of building, typically we're lending on buildings, makes sense, particularly for the property type and the geography.
Mhm.
And that's been something that we've learned over the years makes a lot more sense than just what is, what's somebody's opinion on a $500 piece of paper, meaning an appraisal.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good approach to it. How do you generate value once you've made the investment? What's your risk mitigation strategy that you put forward?
So obviously we're a lender for most of our, activities, and so primarily after the loans originated, hopefully we've done the, 80% of the work already through that underwriting and sourcing process. But, then it's pretty much down to servicing the loan. And so we try to do, the best job we can with that. We do mostly in-house servicing for loans that are in our mortgage funds. And that really helps in case there's a hiccup with the borrower or some other problem. Usually we can deal with that and head on and, directly as soon as somebody brings it up. And, just these small customer service aspects when dealing with the borrower, I think can make all the difference. I mean, I've been on the other side of calls, whether as a borrower, a customer or something, and you
Mhm.
can understand on both sides, people get frustrated sometimes for the smallest things. And, the way the human mind works, it's pretty clear when somebody's, has a loan, they're the customer, we're the service provider, and just trying to make sure we can do what we can to solve any real or imagined problems as calmly, quickly, and reasonably as we can.
Yeah.
Anyway, it probably goes without saying we have third-party audits
Mhm.
every year on our mortgage funds, and have only modest leverage. So in the case that there's a hiccup or two with the low leverage, that makes makes a small problem not a real problem at all. And speaking of the audits, which we've been having for, I guess we're having our sixth one this year that we're finishing up on consecutively. We're doing something right, because our net yields to investors are about 9 to 11% in each of those years, which I think put us just above the California average by about 2 points, almost exactly every year for the past 6 years. So, yeah. Anyway, whatever we're doing on the servicing side and interacting with the borrowers and getting the right support with and review by our auditors, I think it's really making a big difference.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like it. And you've spoken on it a little bit of, your great sales and marketing team that you have and kind of the relationships that you've developed. But who would you say are the key players involved that allow you to execute your acquisition and asset management strategy?
That's a great question. Certainly, it's a real team approach over here at Red Tower Capital. Got to give a shout out to Linda and her 20 years of fund accounting experience, and she does a lot of work and really manages all of the back office, including loan servicing and some of these important issues we're just touching on. David has decades of real estate experience. He recruits and trains the salespeople and advises on marketing related issues. Another team member, Audie, helps out with marketing and analytics and some technology aspects of things, and of course the origination team. And we also bring on third parties that can help us and have some third party relationships on various aspects, including marketing, particularly as we need them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. As a marketer myself, I totally understand the importance of marketing and really putting the brand forward on that.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like we can't do enough of it these days.
Right, absolutely. Well, Solomon, thank you so much for speaking with us today and telling us more about Red Tower Capital. It was great to hear more about it, and we look forward to working together.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time and really enjoyed our conversation as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.